This week, the HPT crowns a champion from the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor in beautiful Black Hawk, Colorado. The home of our $1 million prize pool once again attracted pros and amateurs from across the nation. And another mountainous prize pool and life-changing money awaits our newest HPT champion. We started with 9 players at our new TV final table, and now we're down to the final 4. Leading the pack is Colorado native and local favorite Teresa Hemingway. She's looking to become only the 3rd female champion in HPT history. But standing in her way is a professional poker player and 2 other talented amateurs. Life-changing money, history, and prestige await the last player standing.
This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello again and welcome to the HPT. I'm Fred Bevel and this is professional poker player Maria Ho, and we are at the home of our $1 million prize pool at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor in Black Hawk, Colorado, just outside the mile-high city of Denver.
Over 700 players from all over the country generated a prize pool of over $1 million, with a little more than $226,000 going to one of the 4 left at this final table, and it has been fun to watch. We've seen it all, big calls, big bluffs, and of course some bad beats along the way. And the player who's been driving all the action is of course our chip leader, Teresa Hemingway.
Teresa is vying to become only the 3rd female champion in our history, and she's been in the driver's seat the entire time. But we know that momentum and big swings can change the dynamics in an instant when you're at a short-handed final table.
Teresa's aggression has been serving her well, and she has had no problem getting involved in some big pots. The 3 gentlemen trying to catch her are going to need to amp up the aggression factor if they want to overtake her in the top spot. Patience is a virtue in poker as much as it is in life, but now that we're 4-handed with blinds climbing, these guys need to step on the gas if they want to catch her.
Things are really starting to get intense here, Maria. We are 3 eliminations away from our newest HPT champion.
It's big money from here on out, so let's see what the top spots pay.
Maria, the top prize tonight, definitely life-changing money. Over $226,000 going to the next champion. Everybody at tonight's final table guaranteed at least $63,000.
And here's a look at the chip counts. Teresa Hemingway is in the top spot still. Jeff Yarheaver is just a little bit behind her, and the Roberts are trailing the rest of the field.
Teresa Hemingway started this final table as the chip leader. She's maintained it ever since. Blinds continuing on here at 50 and 100,000 with a 10,000 chip ante. Teresa folds. That is Robert Moore. He folds over to Robert Sweeney.
I can't stress how much momentum is huge in poker, and it's been pretty amazing that Teresa's kept it this whole way.
Robert limps in with Jack 10 offsuit, and then right next to him, Jeff Yarheaver in the 1 seat raises it up to 300,000 with wired 5s.
It's really great to see the players playing a little bit different, opening up their game, getting a little more aggressive now that they're 4-handed. You have to constantly be making these adjustments as you get from 6 to 4-handed to heads up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how their play is going to change.
Robert calls with Jack 10 offsuit. And the flop comes King 4 deuce with a couple of hearts. Robert quickly checks over to Jeff. And just the motion of a bet from Jeff was enough to get Robert to fold. Maria, is this what you were referring to when you said you wanted players to open up their range short-handed?
Yeah, it was good to see Robert go ahead and call that raise with Jack 10, but I would have liked to see a little more post-flop aggression from him, and hopefully we'll get to see a little bit of that later.
Well, in this hand, Robert Sweeney wakes up with ace-queen suited. That's a big hand when you're short-handed.
It's huge.
And he is getting some chips ready, expecting a raise. Blinds 50 and 100. Maria, what's your open bet here?
I'm a big fan of the 2.2x. I'd make it 220,000 to go. He's going to make it a little bit bigger than that with a 4x. I think that a lot of the play shorthanded comes post-flop, and when you raise that big, you're really not going to get that much action.
Oh, he is getting some action from Jeff Yarheaver in the 1 seat with wired 9s. Now we're over to the chip leader, Teresa Hemingway. She's got wired 8s and makes it $1.6 million. So Robert opens for a raise to $400,000. Jeff calls from the 1 seat with wired 9s, and then you have Teresa Hemingway with a 3-bet to 1.6.
I think there's a bit of a sizing issue all around here. Because Robert made it so big to go pre-flop with his original raise, it kind of forced Teresa to raise even bigger. And the problem is there's no room to navigate post-flop now. And now Robert's all in with ace-queen racing against Teresa's 8s when there could have possibly been some kind of post-flop ways to get away from the hand or extract more value than just flipping for 5 cards.
Well, Teresa gets the hand that had her dominated to fold, Jeff's wired 9s. So flip a coin as we go to the flop. Robert's tournament life at risk. Teresa ahead right now. Gavin Smith, our guest table announcer here at the Golden Gates Casino in Black Hawk, Colorado. And the flop comes 10-6-3 rainbow. Teresa survives the flop. And the turn brings a king of diamonds, opening up a couple of more outs for Bob.
Now he could hit any jack along with the ace or a queen.
It is another king. No luck for Robert on the river. He is going to leave us in 4th place. And boy, Teresa Hemingway, when you're running good, you're running good.
Absolutely. Everything happened perfectly for her. She got 9s to fold and she won her race. And now she is continuing her chip lead and steamrolling through the table.
Let's hear what Mr. Sweeney has to say about his final table experience.
I thought my play was pretty good. I probably shouldn't have made an 800,000 call I made on the one hand with the young lady. I had ace king that hand and didn't catch. The last hand, the ace queen of clubs against the 8s, I thought I'd take my chance there, thinking maybe she had a middle pair or something. I'd have 2 overs, and if I had a chance to double up, might go on and get a chance to win the tournament or something. But overall, I thought my play was pretty good.
More poker from the home of our $1 million prize pool when we come back.
Always a good time out here in Black Hawk, Colorado at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. 3 players left at our final table. Let's get back to the action.
Thanks, James. Now here's a look at our chip counts with the elimination of Robert Sweeney in 4th place. Teresa Hemingway continues her run as the chip leader at this final table, and Jeff Yarheaver and Robert Moore are trying to catch her.
Boy, Teresa Hemingway with 63% of the chips in play in the short stack. Robert Moore with just 27 big blinds compared to Teresa's 128 big blinds. Teresa Hemingway, the chip leader on the button, wakes up with ace 9 of clubs.
675.
And holy sledgehammer, Batman, she makes it 675,000 to go.
I think that there are definitely some serious sizing issues, but I really love Teresa's aggression, and I love that she doesn't ever let up on these players. But, you definitely, with a hand like ace-9 suited 3 ways, you want a little bit of action. And it's surprising to me that Jeff is going to call with queen-10 of hearts when she made it 6.7x before the flop. And like I said, you really want to leave yourself room to navigate post-flop and make sure that your sizing is such that you're able to not have to bet your whole stack or go all in on the flop. You can see all 3 streets.
Here comes the flop. King for ace with a couple of hearts.
This is guaranteed to bring some action as Jeff has flopped a gut shot straight draw with a flush draw and Teresa has top pair. Nobody is going to go anywhere.
And you're right once again, Maria. Jeff is leading into Teresa for $1.1 million.
Jeff is going to open for 900,000? 1.1 million. Actions on Teresa.
Raise to 3.5.
And Teresa is going to raise to $3.5 million.
And I hate to sound like a broken record, but here's the issue with the sizing. There's a 6 million chip pot right now when there's only a little over 20 million chips in play. And Robert Moore is sitting over there happy as a clam because this is his way to ladder. This is his way to get to heads up play. These 2 chip leaders are going to battle it out for a huge pot at this stage when Daniel Negreanu has made it a perfectly good structure so that your chances of winning this tournament doesn't have to come down to just one hand.
And Jeff, with a gut shot straight draw and a flush draw, says it's too expensive, and he lays it down.
I think Jeff just bet himself out of a huge draw, and I think he could have seen another card if he just played it a little differently.
This is Robert Moore. He's going to go all in with the wired sixes.
I feel like 30 big blinds is entirely too many big blinds to be shoving with sixes. I think anything more than 15 big blinds is way too many to be open shoving sixes from the button like this. I'm not a big fan of this play.
Maria, do you think the bet sizing from Teresa is kind of setting the tempo for this final table?
Possibly, and while I don't completely disagree that that might be the strategy to play against her, I also feel like you need to set your own tempo and you need to have your own style of play.
Well, Robert does win that pot. The other two players fold. Action on this hand will start on the button of Jeff Yarheaver in the one seat. This is Jeff's first HPT event. He owns a fashion business in Laguna Beach. I got to think these players are a little gun-shy about opening the hand with a raise, knowing that Teresa is probably just going to come down on him with a sledgehammer.
It is tough to play when you know you're going to have to be calling a huge raise behind you in order to see a flop.
350.
And here Teresa goes again. This is actually a moderately sized bet, comparatively speaking anyway. She makes it $350,000 to go with King 3 offsuit. And Robert Moore has King 7 offsuit, and he's going to go all in.
I really like the fact that Robert decided to get aggressive in this spot, but once again, I think he has just a few too many big blinds to be shoving all in over the top of her raise. I think if he made it something like 825K, it would do the same thing, and it's not risking his entire stack.
Well, I think Teresa has her hand caught in the cookie jar here. I can't imagine she's thinking of calling an all in for $2.35 million with a weak king.
No, but I can appreciate the posturing that she wants to make sure people realize she's not going to be pushed around, although I think she's made a pretty clear stance on that thus far.
Well, she doesn't look like someone who's going to auto fold with King 3 after being 3-bet here. She's either a great actress or she's considering a call.
I want to really double you up. I'll give it to you.
And she is going to lay it down, and looks like Robert giving Teresa a dose of her own medicine here. Works out for him.
How do you see that fall? They're going to freaking go.
Blinds continue at 50 and 100,000 with a 10K ante, and this time Mr. Moore wakes up with the best drawing hand in poker, Ace King, on the button three-handed. Obvious raise coming.
All in.
I don't know about that kind of a raise, but he is going to put them all in the middle. Let's see if he gets some action.
It is so hard to get dealt premium hands three-handed that you really need to extract more value from these kinds of hands.
Jeff folds from the one seat over to the chip leader. Teresa, she folds. Maria, $226,000 going to one of these three players. More poker from the home of our $1 million prize pool when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT from beautiful Black Hawk, Colorado at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. I'm Fred Bevel, and this is the beautiful and talented Miss Maria Ho.
Let's take a look and see who's climbed their way to the top. Teresa Hemingway, shocker, still in the top spot. She has over 60% of the chips in play with 12.8 million. And Robert Moore is on the uptrend a little bit, and I think he's getting a little bit more aggressive.
You know, Jeff and Robert really close together, both trying to catch the steamroller that is Teresa's game right now. And Maria, the difference between third and second place money, almost $50,000. You got to think that's on these players' minds a little bit.
Absolutely. Laddering is important, and you have to realize when you kind of need to hang back and when you need to get in there.
Over to Jeff Yarheaver. He's going to raise it up with pocket fours. Teresa Hemingway with deuce 7 is going to 3-bet to $750,000.
Listen, I enjoy watching a woman take charge at the poker table, so I'm not hating on this at all.
It's only the worst hand in poker if you've read a poker book. To Teresa Hemingway, this is the nuts. She 3-bets, and she's been called by Jeff's underpair. Here comes the flop. It is ace 3-9 rainbow. Scary flop for pocket fours. Let's see what Jeff does. He's going to check. And hello, wide open door. Meet Teresa Hemingway.
I'll be shocked if she bets anything less than 1.2 million.
950.
Oh, wow.
Not too far off. She bets 950,000.
This is why you play the player and not your cards, because she kept the aggression up and she got Jeff to fold the best hand, and it's not the first or the last time she'll be able to do that.
And she didn't show the 7 deuce. A lot of players would, puff up their feathers and show the big bluff like that.
I wouldn't say a lot of players. I would say a lot of men. It's a little bit more of an ego contest for you guys than it is for us ladies.
All right, then. Jeff raises it up with pocket queens here. Teresa wakes up with a wired pair. Maria, this could be the hand Jeff has been waiting for.
$1.2 million.
And he's getting exactly what he wants and what he thought he'd get. Teresa has 3-bet him up to 1.2 million. Robert Moore gets out of the way. Jeff goes all in immediately. Teresa snap calls.
This is a bit of a cooler in a three-handed situation. Nines and queens are obviously big hands when you're this short-handed. And Jeff just seems to be on the right side of the cooler.
Well, he definitely is right now. Teresa hoping to find a 9 on this board to get heads up. Here is the flop. It is ace, 8, 5 with a couple of clubs. Teresa is holding a 9 of clubs.
Jeff, you can breathe. You have the best hand.
So, Maria, a club on the turn here would be a fun sweat.
Looks like you're not going to get your wish as the 10 of diamonds comes on the turn. And now Teresa's going to have to hit one of the 2 remaining 9s in the deck in order to eliminate Jeff here.
And the river brings an ace. No 9 for Teresa, and Jeff is going to double up huge. And Maria, I guess that's kind of the yin-yang when you play a style like Teresa's playing.
Absolutely. She's playing big pots and she's being very aggressive, but it was a standard hand there. She's always going to get it in with 9s against the 2 stacks.
Thousands of players every season hope to be in one of those 9 seats. Let's meet this week's player in the field, Randy Fickey.
Well, this year is very important to me because in 2013 I've decided to dedicate a little more time to HPT. I didn't think that was possible, but my goal this year is to make a final table, make that #1 seat, bring home the cash, and be able to say to my friends and family, yeah, all that time I spent on the road was worthwhile, and look, I do play poker. I think as a person, I'm very friendly. I'm never going to meet a stranger. At a poker table, I'm very competitive, and if you've got chips, prepare to lose them because I'm going to take them.
We'll be back with more final table action from Black Hawk, Colorado and the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back to the HPT. I'm Fred Bevel. This is Maria Ho, and we have over $226,000 going to one of these skilled players.
Let's take a look at how the chips stack up. Teresa Hemingway has fallen a little bit, still in the top spot, but after doubling up Jeff Yarheaver, they have about similar stacks, 1 and 2, and Robert Moore is still our short stack.
Teresa, a pretty big fall from grace. She went from enjoying an almost 3-1 chip lead to being just a little over $1 million away from her closest opponent. Blinds continue at 60 and 120 with a 15K ante. Action is going to start on Jeff. He folds. Over to Teresa.
Teresa looks down at ace 10 of diamonds. No doubt she's going to come in for a raise here, but how big is the question?
How about 1.2? And look at this. Mr. Sweeney wakes up with wired jacks.
I can't see him doing anything but going all in here, and he'll definitely get a call from Teresa.
A snap call it is, so here we go. Teresa going to the flop behind with only 1 live card. She's hoping to find an ace or some diamonds on the flop.
Robert's in good shape going to the flop here, and he's going to need this double up.
Boy, if Teresa doubles up the 2 players left at this table, it's going to be hard to shake that momentum. The flop comes king, 10, deuce, rainbow.
Teresa got a little help there pairing her 10, but she's still going to need an ace, a 10, or running diamonds in order to eliminate Robert.
And that's one of the runners he needs. A 7 of diamond falls on the turn.
Robert can't like that too much. It's never easy. Always a sweat.
Gotta get him in good.
Yeah, you got it in good.
It is a diamond, and Teresa Hemingway goes runner, runner, flush to eliminate Robert Moore from this final table.
Being short stacked much of the time, I was able to sustain being in the tournament all the way down to get to the third place, which took some work. And I got my money in good at the end and just got beat by a good hand and by a good player.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Enjoy spending that almost 92 grand for your great play today. We are heads up now. Jeff's moved to the 3 seat. Teresa's over in the 7 seat now.
Blinds are still 60,000, 120,000 with a 15K ante. Jeff's going to open this action here by limping with the 7-6 offsuit.
And let's take a look at Teresa's cards. Ha! Surprise, Maria Ho. This is the mystery hand. I'm going to let you speculate what Teresa is holding. Stretch out those pro legs of yours.
All right, I'm going to try my best. The flop is ace, ace, 6, so Jeff pairs his 6, but Teresa is going to lead out.
Do you put Teresa on an ace right now? She hasn't really slow played many hands.
That's true. She could actually have an ace here, but I'm going to go with she might have an ace, but she might also have some kind of pair. Probably not a 6 because Jeff has a 6 in his hand.
The turn brings a 10 of clubs, and it doesn't look like Teresa's slowing down at all. She's stacking some chips. She's going to fire 750,000.
Because you made a really good point that Teresa's actually not a slow player, I could be convinced here that she has an ace, but I don't think she's on a total bluff either. She definitely has a betting tell.
Well, Jeff does make the call of $750,000 in chips. Any ideas? What are you putting her on?
You know, she didn't raise pre-flop. That's the only reason why I'm going to be less inclined to give her an ace. And as the third ace in the deck comes off, that would make it even less likely for her to have an ace in her hand. So I'm going to give her a small baby pair, maybe deuces.
Well, both players check, so we're going to go to the showdown. Jeff shows his 6, and Teresa shows her wired 4s. Look at you. You called a baby pair, and that's exactly what she had.
This is what I'm here for, Fred.
Take notes. Don't play against Maria Ho. She can read your soul. Blinds continuing on at 60 and 120,000 with a 15K ante. Action's going to start on the button when we're heads up. That would be Teresa. And Teresa's going to make it 750,000 to go with King Deuce offsuit. Maria, when you're heads up, do you open that range really wide and pretty much just raise any 2 cards?
I think a general rule of thumb for heads up play is when you have the button, you should be raising about 85 to 90% of your hands.
Well, Jeff just flat calls here with ace jack. That's a huge hand heads up.
I'm not a big fan of just flat calling out of position with ace jack heads up. I think he should definitely put in a hefty size 3-bet, almost 3x, and then see what Teresa does.
Here comes the flop. Brings 8, 10, 10 with a couple of hearts.
Jeff is still in the lead with ace high, but he might check it to Teresa because she was the pre-flop aggressor. But nope, he's gonna go ahead and lead into her.
Now, earlier you referred to someone betting into the pre-flop raiser as a donk bet, and you don't mean that as an insult. That's just kind of the lingo the pros use.
Yeah, that's just a term that the pros use, and I think we're always expecting the pre-flop raiser to bet post-flop. So I think sometimes when you lead into them, you're kind of losing, giving them the opportunity to bluff.
Well, Jeff has let out for 900,000. Teresa raises him to 1.5 million.
And I don't blame Teresa here for raising at all. It's very strange when someone's going to call your raise pre-flop and then lead into you are inclined to think that they're weak. And Teresa once again takes advantage of that and wins the pot.
Teresa is zigging and zagging in all the right spots. More heads up action when we come back.
Now here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor, brand new management here, Affinity Gaming, and with that a new general manager, Scott Nelson. And Scott, one of the things you inherited was the HPT, and another great event here in $1 million prize pool.
Absolutely. We're very excited to have HPT here again at the properties. We've got a lot of great things going on in Affinity Gaming. With properties located in Missouri, Iowa, Northern Nevada, and Southern Nevada, our properties here in Colorado, we've got a lot of great things going on.
Yeah, as we can see from looking around, expansion is in the works and plenty of construction.
Yes, absolutely. We're actually adding 7,500 more square feet of gaming to the Mardi Gras as well as escalators. We've made a lot of capital improvements over the last couple of months, one of them being the poker room itself, with new carpeting, all new tables, things like that, and we're real excited to have HPT here and introducing the room to it.
Well, thanks so much, Scott, and we really look forward to keeping this relationship here at the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor, and of course, everybody with Affinity Gaming. Maria and Fred, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Mr. Larson. Here's a look at the chip counts. Teresa Hemingway is leading this heads-up battle against Jeff Yarheaver with a little less than 2/3 of the chips in play. Jeff's going to have to do some work and really keep up with Teresa's aggression if he wants to win this tournament.
Both these players guaranteed to go home with almost $140,000. That's huge money. The difference between first and second place, almost $87,000, is the champion tonight going home with over $226,000.
Jeff's going to go ahead and raise the button here with ace-3 offsuit. He's making it $660,000 to go.
And Teresa just flat calls. I don't think I've seen Teresa call a bet yet at this final table.
No, I haven't seen this either, and king-queen suited is a pretty big hand heads up, but I don't actually mind her calling out a position.
On to the flop we go. It brings queen, 8, king with a couple of hearts. Great flop for Teresa.
That is a great flop for Teresa, and she's definitely playing it right so far by checking it over to Jeff.
And Jeff is going to do the bidding for her. He's going to fire $800,000. So here's the question, Maria, a couple of hearts on the board. Do you just flat call or do you raise it here?
I think because there are so many draws on the board, I think Teresa should just raise here because she could also be representing a draw, and if there was any chance that Jeff has a king, a lot of cards on the turn might scare him away.
Teresa makes it $1.9 million, a little over $1 million in chips for Jeff to call. And you got to think Jeff expected that. I mean, Teresa's been doing this all day.
Absolutely, and that's why at some point I think Jeff is going to take a stand, and it might be this hand when Teresa has top 2 pair.
Well, that'd be unfortunate timing for Jeff if he chose now to put the stake in the ground and say he's had enough. He's going to wisely fold, and Teresa's going to scoop a little over $4 million in chips to add to her growing chip lead. Blinds are moving up now, 80 and 160,000 with a 20K ante. Action will start with Teresa. 8 deuce of hearts is her holding.
Call.
She's going to limp the button here, which I don't mind that too much. And honestly, she has been the post-flop aggressor every hand. And if she thinks she has a pretty good chance of taking this away after the flop, it's perfectly fine for her to limp.
Jeff checks his option. Onto the flop we go. It's 9, king, 3 with a couple of hearts. Maria, both players have a little piece of this.
Yeah, and Jeff here looks like he is just going to overbet shove with middle pair here. And actually, he might get Teresa to fold her draw here if she's not willing to gamble. Whereas if he had just bet, there's no doubt in my mind Teresa would have raised and put him all in, and he might have folded. So this might end up winning him the pot, but I still don't like the overbet shove here.
Well, I read in a couple of books, Maria, that it's not good to call an all-in with a draw. What do you think?
It is not good to call all in with a draw, not only if you don't have the pot odds, but also if you don't have the nut draw. For all she knows, Jeff could have the better flush draw, and that would make her 8 deuce of hearts shrink up.
Well, it's a little over $1.5 million for Teresa to call and try to become the champion right here and now if she can hit a heart.
She doesn't have the odds to call here, but Teresa likes to gamble sometimes.
She does make the call, and here we go. Teresa trying to just end this right now. She's going to be looking for a heart. So my partner in crime to my left doesn't like the overbet shove, probably doesn't like the call, but nonetheless, here we are. The turn is a 2 of diamonds. That does give Teresa a pair, opening up some more outs for her.
Teresa can now hit a deuce, an 8, or any heart on the river to eliminate Jeff.
Championship on the line with this river card. Teresa hoping for one of the outs. Jeff hoping to fade. The river is a 7 of clubs. Jeff is going to survive this hand and double up. And Teresa's going to have to sit back down, refasten that seatbelt, and get back to work.
I think sometimes in these moments in heads-up play where the lights are on you, the cameras are on you, you kind of get a little overexcited and you want to just end it right then and there, but you have to make sure that it's the right spot.
Jeff Yarheaver from Laguna Beach, California, made the trip here just to play this event. let's get to know Jeff a little bit better.
Okay, I'm Jeff Yarcheever. I live in Laguna Beach, California. I run a women's shoe brand that I own called Velvet Angels. You know, getting to this final table was pretty challenging. The first day I was down to 13,000 chips with 4 hours left. Finished with almost 300,000, which was great. Yesterday I grind all day. I had some bad flips that went away from me, and I got down to 200,000 with two levels left, and I turned 200,000 into 3.3 million. You know, you get a rush, you play well, you know, and you got to stick around and you got to be patient.
We'll continue with Heads Up action from the Golden Gates Casino and Poker Parlor when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT. We are heads up for the first champion of Season 9 here in the beautiful state of Colorado. Maria, over $226,000 going to either Teresa or Jeff.
Here's a look at our heads up chip counts. Teresa Hemingway has 16 million now to Jeff's 4 million, so she's got about 80% of the chips in play.
Teresa with a monster chip lead, but Maria, don't get too comfortable, right? This could change on a dime in No Limit Tournament Poker.
Anything can happen, and you know what they say, slow and steady wins the race.
Well, slow and steady would not be the way I would describe Teresa Hemingway's game. Fast and furious, that's the way I describe her game. Jeff's going to raise it up with Queen 8, and it looks like Teresa is going to make the call with 10-8. So Teresa's pretty dominated going into the flop here.
Remember when I said that you should be raising about 85 to 90% of your buttons? Well, you should be calling about, I would say, 65 to 75% of your hands out of position, especially if you have a chip lead and you feel like you're the superior player.
Well, the flop comes 4-5 queen with a couple of clubs, giving Jeff top pair, and Teresa's leading into him. And look at this, Jeff just flat calls. I think he's finally figuring out a way to extract as much value from Teresa as possible.
And knowing Teresa, she is more than likely to be firing both a second and a third bullet into this pot. So Jeff just calling is going to be the way to get some chips out of her.
Turn brings the 6 of hearts, and you're right, Maria. Teresa fires that second bullet. This time it's worth 1.5 million. And another smooth call comes from Jeff. The rail gets on their feet as things are getting a little interesting here.
Teresa has no outs to win. She can only hope to chop if a 7 comes on the river.
And the river brings a 6 of clubs, putting the third club on the board and pairing the board. Maria, is this a scare card that she can push top pair off of?
Absolutely. Teresa could have very easily been semi-bluffing with a flush draw. And so now I would like to see how much she's going to bet, but I don't see Jeff folding unless she puts them all in.
That's it. 2.6.
And Maria, that's exactly what she does. She bets enough for Jeff to be all in if he makes the call. He's got top pair of heads up. Normally you love that, but the board texture got kind of funky on him.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of Teresa taking advantage of that scare card on the river and making a bet that's going to put Jeff's tournament life in danger here. I don't know if he has the heart to call here.
He is going to fold. And look at this. Teresa shows the bluff.
Wow, Teresa is really getting into Jeff's head by showing him that bluff. Teresa says that she's not afraid to mix it up with the boys, and she is showing it in spades.
She definitely had a bit of a swagger in her step when she went to the rail to high-five her friends and family. Bly's continuing on now at 80 and 160,000 with a 20,000 chip ante. Jeff is just going to limp here with wired 6s. And Teresa is just going to check her option with Queen 5 offsuit. On to the flop we go. 4, Queen, 6, couple of clubs.
Teresa has flopped top pair here, but Jeff has flopped middle set.
This is gonna get deadly.
Oh, and Jeff is going to check behind and slow play this set against Teresa.
The turn brings an ace of diamonds. Could be an action killer.
I think this turn card's gonna save Teresa a lot of money.
She's gonna fire out 600,000 onto Jeff, who's sitting on a set, and wow, he just shoves all in. Now you have middle set on the flop. The turn brings an ace. She fires. So I guess he's thinking if she has an ace, it'll be tough for her to lay it down.
And I can see how that line of reasoning might make sense to him, but I feel like if he's going to check back the flop there, he should probably just smooth call this turn. And wow, she calls him with second pair with just a pair of queens and a 5 kicker.
She is going to see the bad news that Jeff just has her crushed. In fact, Teresa's drawing dead going into the river. She's going to double him up again.
I feel like by the way that Jeff played that, Teresa was able to get away from her hand, but she wasn't.
Flush draw.
The river is insignificant. You might as well just start counting up Jeff's chips and peeling them off Teresa's stack here. And Jeff has been on the ropes, but he just continues to double up. It's got to start getting a little frustrating for Teresa to be this close to the championship and not being able to close the door.
From personal experience, it is extremely frustrating to not be able to deliver that knockout punch. But I think Teresa could have avoided some of the spots that she doubled Jeff up in.
Blinds going up again. That tends to happen in a tournament structure. They're now 100, 200,000 with a 30,000 chip ante.
Total.
The flop comes 6, 7, 9 with a couple of clubs.
Jeff has flopped a flush draw and Teresa has flopped a gut shot.
And once again, Teresa leads out and Jeff comes over the top all in. You know, Teresa's been driving the action all day at this final table. When we get shorthanded now, it seems like she's lost a little bit of the control on the bet sizing. Players are starting to play back at her a little more.
I think there's something to be said for how Teresa got her chips, the continued aggression, never letting up, being relentless. But I think that it's time for her to make some better decisions regarding the end game.
Well, we can hear Teresa kind of thinking out loud here, and she is going to make the right fold. We've seen Teresa a lot at the HPT events here at Golden Gates over the years. She's turned into a friend of the crew. Let's make her a friend of everybody else.
226K is big. It is obviously life-changing money. It would help my family out every way possible. We're just really looking forward to it. I'm here to play my best game. My strategy, I would just say to play my best game. I'm gonna change gears whenever I have to change and just play my best game and hopefully things will fall my way.
Teresa's trying to close the door on this championship. More Heads Up Poker when we come back.
Welcome back to the HPT, and now it's the fun part as we are heads up inside the poker room.
Here are the updated chip counts. We're a little bit into heads up play. Teresa is still holding a pretty massive chip lead over Jeff. Let's see if she could close it out.
You got to tip your hat to Jeff Yarheaver, though. You know, at one point when we were 15-handed, he had less than 300,000 in chips in front of him. He's grinded back to heads up here at this final table.
He's shown the ability to make some big folds, and maybe that's what got him here.
So blinds continuing on at 100, 200,000 with a 30 chip ante. Teresa looks down at gap connectors, 8-10. She's just going to call. And Jeff is not going to check his option with wire deuces. He's going to make it 700,000 to go.
I think it's been about time that Jeff stops allowing Teresa to limp the button in position against him, so I like this raise.
A little indecisive there.
And she is going to make the call.
Okay.
And it sounds like Jeff might be verbalizing a tell.
He sounded a little bit weak there. Stay strong, Jeff.
Flop brings 9-7-7. Interesting flop.
Teresa flops an open-ended straight draw with her 10-8, but Jeff still has 2 pair after this flop with 7s and deuces.
And Jeff is going to lead with the best hand, as you just pointed out. Makes it 1.3 million.
Yeah.
I have a feeling Teresa's probably going to stick it to him here and put him all in because she does like her draws.
Well, she is just going to flat call.
Teresa, your play is confusing but somewhat masterful all at the same time.
People have said that about me. And the turn brings a 9 of clubs. Not good for Jeff.
This double paired board actually counterfeits Jeff's deuces. So now he basically has 9s and 7s with a deuce kicker, which puts Teresa in the lead, but she can't possibly know it.
Well, Jeff checks to her, and Teresa continues to keep the aggression going, betting 1.6 million.
Unless Jeff doesn't realize that his deuces have been counterfeited, I don't see him doing anything but folding here.
Jeff came to the Golden Gates Casino here in Black Hawk right after taking a tough beat at the Bay 101 down in San Jose. He had a chat with our friend Alan Kessler, and that convinced him to come up here. And now he's guaranteed at least $139,904, but that top prize of a little over $226,000 is what he really wants to get.
I think Teresa's bet pretty much represents all of Jeff's remaining stack, and I'm not really sure why he took so much time to fold.
He does make the fold, and Teresa is going to scoop another good-sized pot, widening that chip lead even more. Jeff's going to need to find another double up in there somewhere to get right back into this match. Blinds stay the same at 100, 200,000 with a 30,000 chip ante. And we see Teresa limping in again from the button with King 3.
After that hand, with Jeff falling below the 10 big blind chip mark, I think Teresa needs to just be going all in or folding at this point.
Jeff is going to raise her here with ace 5.
Jeff's raise essentially commits himself, but Teresa is still not going to put him all in, and I guess they're just going to play a little bit of post flop with whatever Jeff's got left.
So Jeff's only play now is to just get them all in the middle.
Unless he folds, but this is the problem. You can't really be putting in 50% of your stack before the flop to fold on the flop, which is why going all in is a much better play.
Flop brings King 5-8 with a couple of spades. Teresa hits the best of this.
Teresa's now outflopped Jeff with top pair against Jeff's bottom pair with ace kicker.
I'm all in.
And now Jeff chooses to move all in for the rest of his stack, and Teresa is obviously going to make the call here.
Jeff maybe should have gone all in pre-flop. That would have taken this completely out of the equation, is what you're saying.
If Jeff had just gone all in pre-flop, the result still would have been the same, as Teresa got a little bit lucky and outflopped him, but it's a little better from a strategic standpoint.
Well, Teresa has made the expected call, and she sees she's in the lead. Jeff has plenty of outs, though. A 5 or an ace would make him the winner. Here comes the turn. It is a 6 of hearts.
That is not going to be any help to Jeff. He's still looking for an ace or a 5 on the river in order to survive.
Teresa Hemingway trying to go wire to wire for the championship here from the Golden Gates Casino in Black Hawk, Colorado. She needs to fade an ace or a 5 on the river, and she'll be only the 3rd female champion in HPT history. Here comes the river. It's an 8 of hearts, and she's done it, Maria.
Teresa is going to be the 3rd woman to win an HPT event. She has played a fantastic final table, coming in as the chip leader and ending up as the eventual champion.
And you've got to tip your hat to Jeff Yarheaver. He was short stacked, grinded his way into this final table, made it heads up, and just was relentless, but came up a little short. Let's hear what he has to say about his final table experience.
Well, you know, I just took a 2nd place 2 months ago at the Bellagio, and I was a 6-1 chip lead. So that was, you know, it's like I won $53,000 and felt weird about it. You know, here I take 139 grand and take another 2nd. This is my 3rd 2nd. I took a 2nd at the Caesars Championship in 09 against Steve Bellerakis. So, you know, it's kind of bittersweet, you know, but if I'm getting deep and I'm getting 2nds, I'm surely going to get 1st pretty soon, you know. It's nice. It's 3 days work and, you know, 1,600 buy-in. And who could have more fun than this, right?
Thank you very much, James, and congratulations again to Mr. Yarheaver. Going home with a 6-figure prize, that's a good day no matter what's going on. But the champion of the hour is only the 3rd female champion in our long, rich history here on the HPT. James is standing by now with our newest champion, Teresa Hemingway.
And thanks so much, guys. I'm now joined with our new HPT champion, Teresa Hemingway. Well, Teresa, we've got a lot to talk about, but first things first, you made it through 671 players. Did you ever think you'd be standing here in front of the cash talking to me at this presentation?
Well, it's always a dream, but no, I never really thought it would happen, but I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed to be here, and it was a great time. It was a great time. He gave me all I could handle, for sure.
And look at this money. I mean, right here, that's only 20,000 of it. You just won 226K. What's going through your mind right now?
I need a vacation. My husband and me need a big vacation. It's just unbelievable. Just like you guys say, unreal money, and it can happen to anybody. So it was fun, and I'm just really blessed.
All right, let's give her a round of applause, everybody. You're going home with the cash. She is our newest HPT champion, Teresa Hemingway. We'll send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, James, and congratulations again to Teresa going wire to wire. Never an easy thing to do at a final table. Maria, what is the professionals' take on how this table played today?
I gotta say, I am proud of my girl Teresa for representing the ladies here. She came into this final table with the chip lead, and she was able to maintain it throughout. She might have fumbled a few times, especially against Jeff Heads Up when she doubled him up unnecessarily, but in the end, she managed to regain her composure and finish this final table out the way she started.
And she is going home with over $226,000. That's a ton of money. Now, do you think you have what it takes to win that kind of money on the HPT? Well, log on to hptpoker.com and find an upcoming event near you and sit at our final table. For Maria Ho and James Larson, I'm Fred Bevel. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the HPT.